Chosen one, something has been placed on my heart to say to you today, and I want to start with something that I do not think anyone has said to you recently enough. The season you have been in has not been empty. I know it has felt that way. I know there have been mornings when the silence carried a weight it should not have had to carry, when the distance between where you are standing and where you know you are supposed to be felt less like a season and more like something permanent, when the waiting stretched long enough that you stopped fully believing in what was waiting with you. But here is what I need you to understand before we go any further. Heaven has been watching, not passively, not from a distance. Heaven has been watching the way a parent watches a child who is about to receive something they do not yet know is coming, with attention, with preparation, with urgency. And God has issued something over your life, not a gentle encouragement, not a soft reassurance, something that carries the highest level of divine designation, what I am going to call a rare red alert, issued from the place where your name has always been known, and sent with a specific intention that most people never fully understand. Because most people hear the words red alert, and they hear danger. What I want to show you today is something entirely different. Stay with me, because what comes next, the reason heaven moved with this level of urgency over you now, in this season, is the thing that changes everything. Before we go any deeper, I want you to know what is waiting for you in this message if you stay all the way through. By the time we finish, you are going to understand exactly what the 5 signs around you have been pointing to and why they have been intensifying right now. You are going to understand what the wilderness season was actually building inside of you, the thing that made the alert necessary. And you are going to hear the full message of the red alert, not just the surface layer, but the deepest layer, the one that reframes every closed door and every long season in your story. Stay all the way through. What I have saved for last is the piece that changes everything. Everything I am sharing with you in this message is completely free. But if at any point something in your spirit tells you there is more available to you, something beyond what words alone can carry, you will find what I want to point you toward in the description and the pinned comment below. Only move in that direction when you feel led, not from pressure, when you are ready. And if you want to understand what the red alert means for your life right now, the first thing I need to show you is this. The signs are already around you. They have been for longer than you may realize, and they are not random. I want you to think about the last few weeks of your life, not the big events, not the things you can easily explain to someone else, the quiet, persistent things, the patterns showing up in the margins of your days, in the in-between moments, in the spaces your busy mind almost brushes past. Because here is what I have come to understand about the way heaven operates when it is moving with urgency over a life. It leaves tracks, and I want to walk you through 5 of them right now. The first one is something that happens at night. You wake up, not from a dream, not from noise, not from anxiety. You wake up somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning, and you are completely alert, clear in a way that feels different from how you feel at any other hour. There is no cause you can point to, no stress, nothing you ate. You are simply awake, and the room around you feels different from the rest of your days. The ancient people had a name for this hour. They called it the watch hour, the time when the separation between human awareness and divine communication becomes the thinnest it ever is in a full day. This is not a sleeping problem. This is your spirit being called to attention. The second thing is what has been happening to your tolerance. Places that used to feel neutral now feel draining. Conversations that used to feel fine now feel like they are pulling something out of you that you cannot afford to lose. Environments where you used to belong now feel like they belong to a version of you that no longer exists. This is not impatience. This is not pride. Something in you has been recalibrated, and the old channels no longer carry the signal you are now tuned to receive. The third thing is the waves, the emotional waves that arrive without a clear reason. Peace, and then a sudden rush of grief. Grief, and then a quiet, inexplicable hope. And you cannot trace any of it back to something specific that happened. It just moves through you. Your spirit is processing something that your mind has not yet been given the full language for. This is not instability. This is not something broken in you. Your spirit is ahead of your understanding, and it is working through something real. The fourth sign is the repetition. The same word, the same theme, the same phrase, appearing from 3 different directions in the same week. From people who do not know each other, from a page you opened without planning to, from a conversation you were not even part of. You dismissed it the first time. You noticed it the second. By the third, something in you went very quiet. Heaven does not whisper the same sentence through multiple unconnected mouths by accident. And the fifth sign is the number patterns, the 444, the 111. The way your eyes keep finding the same sequence on a clock, on a screen, in a moment you could not have planned. Most people dismiss this immediately. But when heaven is moving with urgency over a life, the spiritual environment around that life begins to reflect what is happening above it. The numbers are not superstition, they are resonance. They are the frequency of what is being prepared around you becoming visible in the physical world. This is not anxiety. This is not coincidence. This is not something wrong with you. This is not random. This is the track that heaven leaves behind when it is moving with the highest level of attention over one specific life. And that life is yours. But I want to say something before we go further. What I just described, as real and as specific as it is not the red alert itself. It is the signal that you are in the zone where red alerts are received. And that distinction matters, because there is something we need to look at first, something about the season that produced these signs in you. I want to honor something before we continue, and I mean that word, honor, in the most serious way I can say it. Whatever you have been through in the last season, whether it was a year or 2 years or longer, whether it cost you a relationship or a version of yourself you had carefully built, whether it took something you cannot get back, I am not going to minimize it. I am not going to rush past it. What I want you to understand is what was actually happening inside of it. There was a man in the ancient texts named Elijah, and I want to tell you his story because it is yours in ways that are going to be difficult to deny. Elijah was not a man who had given up before trying. He was a man at the absolute height of his calling. He had just done something that the world around him said was impossible. He had stood alone, publicly, against everything the system told him was true, and he had not flinched. And then the threats came, and then the isolation came, and then the silence came. And he sat down under a tree in the middle of the wilderness and said the most honest prayer anyone has ever prayed. He said, "God, I am done. I have given everything I had, and I am still here alone, and I cannot go any further." And here is what heaven did. Heaven did not respond with a lecture. Heaven did not respond with a correction or a list of everything he still had left to accomplish. Heaven sent an angel, twice, with food and with water, and with the simplest possible instruction, which was, get up and eat. The journey is too long for you to do it without strength. That is what a divine red alert looks like in a wilderness. Not a grand announcement, not thunder, a hand on the shoulder, and the provision that makes the next step possible. I want to tell you about a woman I know. She spent 7 years dismissing what she knew was inside her. Not because she was careless, not because she was faithless, but because no one confirmed it. 7 years of carrying something with no external validation, no evidence that anyone else could see what she was holding, and so she learned to carry it quietly, in a way that looked from the outside like she had let it go. And then, in the space of one single week, 3 completely unconnected people said nearly the exact same sentence to her. They did not know each other. They were not in the same room. They were not aware they were part of the same moment. But each of them, in their own way, named the thing she had been carrying as if they had always known it was there. She told me later that she knew, after the third voice, it was not coincidence. It was completion. The silence had not been abandonment. The silence had been protection. Because this is the pattern I have seen again and again in the lives of people who carry what you carry. What looked like being forgotten was actually being protected. What looked like delay was actually development. What looked like silence was actually strategy. What looked like invisibility was actually positioning. The wilderness did not happen to you. The wilderness happened for you. And what was being built inside of you in that season is the very thing that makes the red alert make sense. There is an ancient Hebrew word I want to give you before we continue. The word is kara. It means to call someone by name, not a general announcement into the atmosphere, not a whisper hoping someone hears it, but a specific, intentional, designation-level call, spoken over one person, because the one doing the calling knows exactly what that person was made for. God did not simply observe you in the wilderness. He called you. He spoke your kara over you. He designated you with the full weight of his intention. And that word carries everything he was building while you were waiting. Now I want to say something to you directly. You have not been invisible to God, not for a single moment of this season. The morning you made a faithful choice in a room where no one was watching, and you did not announce it, and no one applauded it, and you did it anyway. God knew. And that is not nothing. The night you held on to something you could have released, when releasing it would have been the most logical choice, the most reasonable choice, the one that everyone around you would have called wise. And you held on anyway because something deep in you said, not yet. Heaven saw it. And that is not nothing. The version of yourself that you have been quietly building in the hidden place, the version with more patience than you had before, more discernment, more capacity for stillness than you ever thought you would need. Heaven has been watching it develop. And that is not nothing. You were not overlooked, you were held. And there is a very real difference between those two words. Overlooked means passed by without recognition. Held means deliberately kept in a specific place, because what is being built in you requires that exact environment. Being held is not abandonment. Being held is being actively attended to by the one who knows exactly what you need and exactly when you need it. But being seen as real and as significant as that is only the first layer. Because what heaven saw when it looked at you, that is where the red alert actually begins. I want to show you what heaven saw. Because this is the part that reframes everything. Most people, when they hear the words red alert, go immediately to fear. They assume it means something went wrong. They assume the urgency means correction, that the signal means failure. And because of that assumption, many people who are standing in the middle of one of the most significant divine moments of their lives completely miss it. They spend the entire moment bracing for something to go wrong, instead of opening their hands to receive what was sent. But here is the truth at the center of everything I have been building toward today. A red alert is not a punishment signal. A red alert is a designation, signal. Think about what the color red actually does in a world that uses it for emergencies. When an emergency vehicle moves through traffic with its lights running, it is not there to condemn the road. It is not saying the situation is hopeless. What it is saying is this: clear the path. Something important is coming through. Make room for what this moment requires. That is what God releasing a red alert over your life looks like. It is not saying something has gone catastrophically wrong with you. It is saying something important is about to move through your life. It is saying, clear the path. The formation is complete. The preparation is done. What is coming requires the road to be open. And I hear the Father saying over you right now, the alert was never about what you did wrong. The alert was about where you are going. And I needed you to know that before the season ends. You are not being warned. You are being called. You are being sent. That is the designation. That is what the red in the alert means. And now, because something connects directly to what we have just discussed, I want to pause here for just a moment before we go any deeper. Because something was shown to me that is so directly relevant to the frequency we have been talking about, the God-given frequency inside of you that the wilderness was protecting, that I need to share it with you before we continue. There is a researcher named Dr. Robert Lake who spent 34 years studying the brain science behind what I would call the God-given frequency. And what he discovered, working alongside some of the most respected research institutions in the world, is that the specific brainwave pattern connected to spiritual sensitivity, intuition, creative flow, and what the ancient people would have simply called the genius state, is a real and measurable frequency. It is called gamma, and it is present in every child before the world begins to condition it away. He called what happens to that frequency over time the decline effect. The reason I am mentioning this now is that what we have been discussing, the designation, the frequency you carry, the thing the red alert is pointing to, has a biological counterpart that Dr. Lake spent his entire career learning how to restore. He took that research and compressed it into a 7-minute audio tool called the Genius Song. I am going to tell you much more about this in part 2. And when I do, something is going to connect in a way that ties directly to everything we have covered today. For now, if something in your spirit is already stirring, the information is in the description and the pinned comment below. Do not move until you feel led. For now, let us keep going. In part 2, I am going to show you something I have held back until now. Something about why the red alert was issued in this specific season. Not last year, not 2 years ago. This exact moment, because the answer to that question reframes every door that did not open and every timeline that did not unfold the way you planned. And it changes not just how you see your past, it changes what you do with tomorrow. I'm also going to tell you about a woman whose experience with the Genius Song changed the way I understood the signs we talked about at the beginning of this message, and why what happened to her connects directly to what is happening to you right now. Stay with me. Part 2 is where the full message of the red alert is finally revealed. Welcome back, chosen one. In part 1, we covered the 5 signs that appear when heaven is moving with urgency over a specific life. We looked at what the wilderness was actually building inside of you during the season when you thought nothing was happening. And we looked at the central truth of what a red alert from heaven really is, not a warning about failure, but a designation for deployment. But there is something I held back, something I promised at the end of part 1 that changes the meaning of every piece of what we discussed. Before I show you what it is, I want to make sure you are fully with me, because what I am about to share is only going to land the way it was meant to land if you heard everything we covered in part 1 together. The red alert that heaven sent over your life was not only sent to you. I need you to sit with that sentence for a moment, because it is easy to hear it and move past it without letting it do what it was meant to do. When God moves with urgency over a life, He is not only communicating with that person, He is communicating with the environment around that person, the forces, the circumstances, the spiritual atmosphere that has been operating to keep that person contained. The alert was not just a message to your heart. It was an announcement to everything that has been standing between you and what you were made for. And here is why the timing matters. Right now, there is a frequency in you, a specific way that you see, a specific way that you process, a specific quality in your spirit that has been present since before you were born. And it is powerful enough that it has required suppression, not because you are weak, but because what you carry is significant. The formation in the wilderness, the silence, the invisibility, all of it was the environment in which that frequency was being strengthened in ways that could not happen in the open. Heaven issued the red alert now, in this specific season, because what was being suppressed is no longer successfully contained, because the preparation is complete, because the formation has produced something in you that is ready to move. And the moment you stepped into readiness, the announcement went out. Now, before I go further, I want to give you something practical, because this message is not only something to feel, it is also something to act on. There are 3 ways to know whether what you are feeling right now is a divine red alert or simply spiritual anxiety. The first marker is this: anxiety contracts. A divine red alert expands. Anxiety makes you want to hide, to pull back, to make yourself smaller. A designation signal makes you want to move. It creates an expansive feeling, even when it is accompanied by the weight of responsibility. If the urgency you are carrying right now is opening something in you rather than closing it, that is not anxiety. That is a call. The second marker is specificity. Anxiety is vague. It spreads across everything and cannot be traced to a clear source. But a divine red alert is pointed. It lands on something specific, a specific direction, a specific next step, a specific area of your life that has been waiting for you to say yes to it. If you can name what the urgency is about, that is designation. If you cannot name it at all, it is something to bring to prayer before acting on. The third marker is where it originates. Anxiety originates inside you and stays inside you. It has your fingerprints all over it. But a divine red alert arrives from outside of you. It comes through the signs we discussed, through confirmation, through the kind of knowing that has no rational source, that you did not manufacture, that simply arrived and settled in your spirit like something that had always been true and had finally been spoken out loud. The urgency you have been carrying has all three of those markers. And what connects it to the biological level is something I want to address in just a moment. But before I do, there is one thing I want you to know about what Dr. Lake discovered. He did not build a single tool. He built a restoration sequence. What I am about to share with you is only the first piece of what he mapped out. Today, I am giving you the beginning of that picture, and the rest will become available as you are ready for it. Before I show you the full message of the red alert, and before I share the tool I mentioned in part 1, I need to give you the piece I have been building toward this entire time. Because what comes next is the part that reframes every single closed door in your story. Every time you applied for something and did not receive it. Every season that felt like silence when you were expecting an answer. Every timeline that ended before you thought it should. The reason for all of it is in what I am about to show you. Stay with me. This is the part that changes everything. Let me take a breath with you here and be very direct about what we have covered together in this message before we enter the final chapter. You have learned the 5 signs that appear when heaven is moving with emergency-level attention over a specific life, and you have recognized them in your own story. You have seen the pattern of what the wilderness season was actually building, not punishment, not abandonment, but the specific formation that makes the assignment possible. You have received the central reframe of what a red alert from heaven actually is. Not danger, but designation. Not correction, but deployment. And you have learned the 3 markers that help you distinguish divine urgency from spiritual anxiety, so that when the full call comes, and it is coming, you will know how to receive it without flinching. That is what this message has given you so far. And now I want to give you one more thing. Here is something I want to be honest about. Everything we have discussed today, the frequency you carry, the designation signal, the biological counterpart of spiritual sensitivity, is not only a spiritual reality, it has a scientific signature. And a man named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years tracking exactly what it is and how it works. Dr. Lake is a neuroscientist whose work, conducted alongside institutions including MIT and Princeton and several other leading research universities, mapped exactly what happens to the specific brainwave pattern connected to spiritual sensitivity, creativity, deep intuition, and what the ancient people simply called the genius state. That brainwave pattern is called gamma, and here is what he discovered about it. Every child is born with gamma frequency, active and fully accessible. It is the reason children learn so fast, imagine so freely, and trust so completely. It is the reason the world you experienced when you were 7 years old felt more vivid and more alive than anything that came after. That was not just youth, that was gamma. But by the time most people reach adulthood, gamma has been significantly suppressed. Dr. Lake called this the decline effect, and the causes are systematic. Educational environments that reward conformity over curiosity. Stress responses that train the brain to stay in survival mode for years at a time. Social conditioning that teaches us to distrust the inner knowing we were born with. The decline effect is measurable. It shows up on a brain scan, and what Dr. Lake spent 34 years learning is exactly how to reverse it. I mentioned the Genius Song in part 1. Let me now tell you what it actually is. The Genius Song is a 7-minute digital audio track that uses a technology called brain entrainment to reactivate the gamma frequency. You listen through headphones, eyes closed, once a day. No meditation practice required. No mantras, no journaling, nothing to prepare or maintain. The brain hears the embedded frequency and follows it, the way a tuning fork causes a string to vibrate at the same pitch without ever touching it. I want to tell you about a woman who came to the Genius Song after years of searching. She was 38 years old. She had been through meditation programs, yoga retreats, spiritual courses of every kind. She was not someone who gave up easily, but she told me she had never actually arrived at the thing she was looking for. The connection. The sense that the universe was communicating in a language she could read. She bought the Genius Song because, in her own words, she had nothing left to lose. 2 weeks later, she used one word to describe what had changed. Not focus, not energy, not clarity. She said synchronicities. The universe had begun speaking to her in a language she recognized. And I want you to notice something about that word. The synchronicities she described, the moment of meaningful arrival, the repeated signs appearing from unconnected directions, those are the exact signs we discussed at the very beginning of this message. The signs that show up when gamma is active and the frequency you carry is no longer being held down. Now, I want to address something I know some of you are already turning over in your minds. If you are wondering whether this is simply a sound recording and nothing more, here is what matters. It is not the sound itself that does the work. It is the specific frequency encoded within the sound. Brain entrainment functions through the auditory pathway regardless of whether you are consciously focused on it. The brain follows the signal. That is how the technology operates. If you have tried meditation before and it did not produce the results you were hoping for, the difference here is significant. Meditation asks the brain to self-regulate without an external reference point. Brain entrainment provides the frequency from outside, and the brain follows it. These are fundamentally different mechanisms, and they produce different results in different people. And if you are already spiritually active, and you are wondering whether this adds anything to what you already practice, the Genius Song is not a replacement for your spiritual life. It is a biological support for the environment where that life happens. When gamma is active, the sensitivity you already carry becomes sharper. The things you already hear become clearer. Now let me be fully transparent about what the Genius Song costs, because you deserve the complete picture. If you wanted to address the decline effect through the approaches most people consider, a monthly meditation app subscription runs roughly $15 a month. A single session with a therapist runs around $150. A weekend spiritual retreat, the kind that gives you 2 or 3 days away, typically runs between $400 and $800. A professional biofeedback clinic, where specialists measure your brain waves and work with your gamma frequency directly, charges close to $300 per session, with multiple sessions recommended. None of those options, as valuable as they may be in their own right, were specifically designed to target gamma reactivation. Dr. Lake took 34 years of research and compressed it into a 7-minute audio that delivers the frequency directly. The original price for the Genius Song is $49. For the people watching this message, he has made it available for $39. And that price is not available anywhere else, not on Amazon, not on any other platform. only through the link in the description and the pinned comment below. Along with that purchase, Dr. Lake has included 4 bonuses completely free. The first is an audio track called Genius Child, a 6-minute recording calibrated specifically for the brains of children, so that the young people in your life can experience gamma activation before the decline effect has a chance to take hold. The value of that is $19, included at no cost. The second is a book, the original text, that the film The Secret drew its inspiration from, the source material that most people have never found, built on real and practical financial principles rather than vague positive thinking. Its value is $20 and it is included. The third is a guided visualization, a 22-minute audio walkthrough that moves through 4 areas of life: your finances, your relationships, your health, and your sense of purpose, with real direction rather than leaving you alone in the silence. That is valued at $29, and it comes with your purchase at no additional cost. And the fourth is a simple daily reference guide built around 5 specific habits that people who have successfully maintained their gamma activation use consistently. Something practical, something you can come back to every single morning. Its value is $12 and it is yours. That is $80 in bonuses, included with a $39 purchase. And Dr. Lake stands behind all of it, with a 90-day money-back guarantee. No conditions, no product to return, because everything is digital. And if you choose to request a refund, all 4 bonuses, the full $80 worth, are yours to keep, regardless of your decision. He made the guarantee that generous because he believes in what he built, and he understands that trust takes time. Over 18,000 people have used the Genius song, and the refund rate is under 4%. More than 96 out of every 100 people who used it continued past the guarantee window without requesting their money back. Before you search for this anywhere else, there is something I need to protect you from. There are listings online that claim to offer the same technology. They are not the original work. The Genius song that Dr. Lake built, with the specific frequency encoding that his research produced, is only available through the link in the description and the pinned comment below. That is the only place I can point you with full confidence. If everything we have discussed today, the designation, the frequency, the signs, the season you have been in, resonates with what you know is inside of you, the information is waiting for you below. Go when your spirit says it is time. Not from pressure, not because I am asking you to rush. When you are ready. And now, I want to give you the peace I have been holding for last. The red alert that heaven sent over your life was not only sent to you. I told you that at the beginning of part 2. But I did not tell you who else it was sent to. When heaven issues a red alert over a life, it is an announcement, not just a private message to the person receiving it, an announcement to the spiritual atmosphere surrounding that person, to the forces that have been working to keep what that person carries from reaching the world it was meant to reach, to every circumstance that has been arranged to delay what that person is supposed to walk into. The alert was sent about you. Every door that did not open was not rejection. It was the alert running ahead of you, clearing a path that would have taken you somewhere you were not yet ready to occupy. The wilderness did not happen because you were forgotten. It happened because you were being prepared for something that required you to be fully formed before you entered it. Every sign you have been seeing, every repeated number, every unexpected wave of emotion, every early morning when the room felt different from the rest of your days, those were not only signals to you, those were confirmation that the announcement was already in motion at a level above what you could see. The red does not clear the road by removing obstacles. The red clears the road by clearing you, by removing what was never supposed to come with you into the next season, by stripping away the identities, the timelines, and the attachments that would have held you back from what is actually waiting on the other side. And I hear the Father saying over you right now, the alert was not because I was worried about you. The alert was because I knew what was on the other side of this season, and I needed the road cleared before you walked into it. I sent the alert ahead of you. You are the one it was announcing. You did not survive the silence. You were formed in it. You did not endure the wilderness. You were equipped in it. You did not wait out the season. You were being prepared for the moment that makes the season make sense. I want you to pause right now, not metaphorically. Actually stop for a moment. Notice the position your body is in right now. Notice the rhythm of your breath. Just for a few seconds, do not move toward anything. Just notice where you are. Now I want you to do one thing, not physically, internally. I want you to imagine that you are holding something. It has the kind of weight you feel in your chest when something important is finally named. Imagine you are holding the red alert itself, not reading about someone else receiving it, yours, with your name written on it in a place where names are never confused and nothing is ever sent to the wrong destination. Feel what it would feel like to hold something that was prepared specifically for this moment in your story. Something that was not sent in error. Something that arrived exactly where it was supposed to arrive. Take one slow breath here. Whatever moved in you just now, that quiet recognition, that something in the center of your chest that responded before your logic could weigh in, that is not imagination. That is your spirit recognizing what your mind is still catching up to. Hold on to that, because we are about to close this in the way it deserves to be closed. You have been with me through something significant today. I do not take that lightly. You stayed. Through the signs, through the story of the man who sat down under a tree in the desert and was met by heaven anyway, through the revelation, through all of it. You stayed. And I want to acknowledge something that might seem small, but is not. Sitting still for a conversation this deep, in whatever position you are in right now, on whatever device you are holding, while the rest of your life was making its usual demands on your attention, that takes something. Your spirit knew it was worth it. Now let us close this the way heaven closes things it means. Before we seal this, I want to invite you to release something. Release the story that the hard season was abandonment. That story was never true. What felt like abandonment was the most intentional form of preparation you have ever experienced. Release the version of yourself that believed you were forgotten. That version served a purpose. It taught you how to carry things quietly, but it does not belong to what comes next. And release the timeline, the one you planned, the one that said it should have happened by now, by last year, by 2 years ago. That timeline was yours. The one playing out is better than the one you wrote. Let all of that go now, not because it was not real, but because what it was protecting has arrived. You were seen. You were called. You are sent. The wilderness was formation. The silence was strategy. The delay was positioning. The red alert was real. The designation is yours. The road has been cleared. And the red, the color of life, the color of fire, the color of what heaven uses when it moves with its full weight, is no longer a signal of danger over your life. It is your signal. It is your color. It is the mark of the one whose preparation is complete and whose season is changing. Let us pray. Father, thank you for this one. Thank you for the season that felt too long and cost too much and produced more than anything we could have planned for. Thank you for the signs that kept arriving even when this one was too tired to look for them. Thank you for the wilderness that did not break what you were building, but strengthened it in ways that are only fully visible from the other side. We receive the designation now, not because we earned it, not because we have everything together, but because you issued it, and what you issue does not expire and cannot be revoked. We align ourselves with the assignment. We release the timelines that were never ours to hold. We open our hands to what is coming next. And we trust that the road you cleared was cleared for good reason. We receive this. We receive this. We receive this. And I hear the Spirit of God saying over you right now, you are the one the alert was sent for. Not because your record is perfect, not because your faith has never had a fracture, but because I know what you carry. I have always known what you carry, and the world needs it. Go. Whatever name you use for the one who has been watching over you through all of this, be still right now, just for one more moment. Let this land in the place it was sent to reach. If this message reached you today, if something in you recognized what we talked about, come into the comments right now and write one word: flagged. That is all. Just that one word. It tells me the message arrived where it was meant to arrive. If this is something you want to be able to return to, something you want close when the season gets heavy again, press the like so that this message finds the next person who needs it. If you are new here, this is a space built for the ones who know they are carrying something the world has not yet fully seen. Subscribe and stay close. There is more coming. And if someone came to your mind while you were listening today, someone who has been in a long and quiet season they cannot explain, send this to them. They will understand why when they watch it. For those whose spirits resonated with what I shared about the Genius song, the link is in the description and the pinned comment below. It will be there when you are ready. Move only when you feel led. You are not here by accident. You never were. And what comes next is already in motion.